Saxophonist Najee is here to walk us through some career highlights and to talk about his new album, The Center of the Heart. Plus, our resident film expert, Matt McCucci, joins the program to recommend some jazz films for you to binge this weekend. I'm Brian Zimmerman. This is Jazz's Last Call. All right. And as always, before we get started, I wanted to let you know about an album from ECM Records that I think you should check out. This one is from guitarist Wolfgang Muthspiel in a trio with Scott Cawley on bass and Brian Blade on drums. Wolfgang is known for his highly impressionistic guitar playing and his imaginative original compositions. This record, however, features those, but also includes his first two covers of songbook standards for an ECM disc. He's venturing into some bebop territory here as well, which is new for him. So if you're looking for something a little different from Wolfgang or for a new spin on standards, check out this album at ecmrecords.com. Wanted to also let you know that our new print issue is out right now, and it is all about fusion. There's Chick Corea on the cover. We've got a wide-ranging interview with him. If you're a subscriber, you will be receiving this soon, or you already have. If not, good news. All of this content from the print issue is available as web articles on our website, jazziz.com. You can start reading it right now. You will need a digital subscription. However, we're offering a special rate for Jazz's Last Call viewers. For just 99 cents per month for 3 months, you can receive unlimited digital access to our site. And not only that, but we'll enroll you to receive our forthcoming print issue, which is coming out in September, and which is all about the art of the album, listening to albums, collecting albums, producing albums, album cover art. It's a really cool issue. And like I said, you subscribe now, you get all the web content that's in this print issue, plus we'll enroll you to receive our next print issue. All right, well, our guest today is the multi-platinum selling saxophonist and contemporary jazz royalty, Najee. Not to mention one of the few musicians in the One Name Only Club. So eat your heart out, Madonna. His career is filled with milestones, from being nominated for a Grammy to working with Chaka and Stevie Wonder to Herbie Hancock and George Duke. He has performed at festivals and venues throughout the world, including with Prince, who he went on tour with. And his new album is called Center of the Heart. He is here to talk about it right now. So please welcome Najee to the Jazz's Last Call.
Hey, Brian. How you doing, man?
Good.
Good. I'm doing great. Can't complain.
It's excellent to see you. It's excellent to see you. One thing we like to do for the Jazz's Last Call is, raise a toast. I poured myself a little cocktail here. And so who are we drinking to, Najee?
I don't know, man. You know what? I wish I had my Starbucks a little early in the day. So we say amen and pass the Starbucks. But let's drink to or celebrate the fact that hopefully we're coming out of this pandemic and going back to work, man. I've been home for 7 weeks, and it's good, but it's time to get back to work.
Cheers to that, man.
Yes, sir.
I hear you here. That's the good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Najee, man, yeah, we are talking to you from where? Where are we living these days?
I'm home in Florida. Okay. I'm at home in Florida. Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
We're down near Miami.
Yeah.
You are originally from Queens, though.
That's right.
New
York City. Yes.
Huge jazz legacy in Queens specifically.
Yes.
A lot of jazz musicians live there, from Louis Armstrong. Didn't Duke have a place there at some point?
Well, Count Basie lived.
Count Basie, that's right. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I threw cookies at his wife once. When I was 13 years old, I didn't know. They were one of the few people in our neighborhood that actually had an in-ground pool. Okay. And this well-to-do neighborhood. And one day, being mischievous, my friend and I just happened to see them in their pool and started throwing cookies at them. So,
all right, hey, you're one of the few musicians. What a claim to fame, through cookies at Count Basie's wife. That's funny, man. Yeah, and I mean, I understand you learned to play from some major musicians in Queens.
Yes, I did.
So yeah, what was getting your start in jazz saxophone? Who were you learning from? Who were you taking lessons from? What was going on?
Well, when I got to high school, I was exposed to studying jazz at the age of 15 through my teacher first, Mr. David Vetter, my high school teacher.
Okay.
And then that went on to studying at Jazzmobile on the weekends. I was fortunate to be a part of the Jazzmobile program there. in New York City on Saturday. So I got the opportunity to study with Ernie Wilkins, which was under Billy Taylor, the late Billy Taylor.
Right.
The late Jimmy Heath was my teacher for flute and saxophone, but it was part of a masterclass series and the big band series that we had there.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, that was some of the few people, as well as when I went to college in Boston, I had the opportunity to study with the legendary Mr. Joe Allard, who taught Eric Dolphy, Michael Brecker, and so many other big names, you know.
Wow. And I understand you met Sonny Rollins early on.
I did.
You know, again, that was kind of helped give shape to your decision to become a jazz musician. Was that just through Jazzmobile or?
No, actually, I was attending a rehearsal and I was in the elevator and in comes Sonny Rollins with his tenor saxophone and we got to talking and man, it was an experience because, you know, I looked up to him like, I mean, he was already a legend, obviously, you know. So I got to meet him. I used to sneak into Charles Mingus's rehearsals, you know, so I did it all. That was the blessing of coming from New York City, you know, being in that environment during that time. And it was so much, you know, we could do back then. Yeah.
Very cool. You mentioned you went to school in Boston. Yes, you went to the prestigious New England Conservatory.
You know,
but hey, man, that's a great school. And, you know, shortly after graduating, you came to working with Chaka Khan, right?
Yes, I did. I went back to New York City. Actually, I didn't get a chance to graduate, but the exposure there for 3 years. I mean, I went to school with Regina Carter, Rachel Z, great pianist, jazz pianist, Nelson Rangel. We were all there at the same time. My brother, who played guitar for Reed, he was there. And we went back home, had no money, couldn't afford to pay for school, and got home. Just happened to be sitting and playing straight ahead one night in a club, and in comes her musical director and says, "Give me your number." And so she called me like 2 days later, asking me if I was interested in auditioning for the band, and that's how it all came about.
Wow!
Yeah.
You play sax and flute, a little bit of everything with her.
Sax
on the
and
road?
flute, yeah. Actually, I was playing alto, which I don't play anymore. I really, you know, I play tenor, and soprano, and flute most of the time.
Flute most, yeah. No, I love that you're playing flute. Man. I wish you know we need more flute albums.
I agree, man.
It is an enormously hard instrument to play. People don't realize. I mean, it takes the wind power of 2 tubas to power that thing sometimes. So next time, everybody watching, next time you see a jazz flutist, props to them.
Yes.
Well, hey, you know, people can see you got the headphones on, you got the neck strap on, you got the horn nearby. We would love it if you could just play a little something.
A little note.
Yeah, sure. You know.
All right, sure. I got it. You see my flute. Now, it's always easier to pick up the flute for me because when you pick up the sax, you don't know what the reed is going to be like.
Right. It's just you and the flute.
There you go. So. So there you have it with no warm up.
No, man. Hey, you sound better than a lot of guys who do warm up. So that was great, Najee. Yeah, man. Talking about Chaka, she strikes me as, I mean, she could have in an alternate timeline become a straight ahead jazz singer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she is so good. She knows her jazz. You know, you were a young kid on the road with Chaka.
We were.
What lessons did you learn from being in that group, from watching a professional like Chaka Khan work night after night after night?
You know, one of the things is what I was struck by, because, you know, we were starstruck when we started working with her. We couldn't believe we were in the band. I mean, she had these musicians right before us with Michael Brecker and Ernie Watts and David Sanborn. And here we are, these young kids. It's like, what are we doing here, you know? But I think one of the biggest things I learned was how to treat a band. You know, she was very, very good to her musicians. No matter what she was going through, she could be going through a difficult time, whether it was financial, whatever, you know, or losing money on the road. One of the things I loved about her is she had a great regard for the care of musicians and the people that worked for her. So that's one beautiful. Of the greatest lessons. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And while you were on tour with her, or shortly thereafter, you released your debut album.
I did, yes.
Debut album. Now, is it true? This is what I read. You walked into a producer or something with a demo and said, this is kind of something new that I've been doing. I've been putting, it's like saxophone R&B. You want to give it a spin? Is that really what happened?
Well, actually, what happened, Melissa Morgan, the great R&B singer, she was one of the background singers with Chaka. Okay. And she, when we left that tour, the Ain't Nobody tour, she got a job working in a club in New York City called The Cellar. And she hired some of the musicians from that band to play behind her. Well, I was playing keyboards in the band, but she did her very first album on Capitol Records, which ended up being a gold record. And I played on this song, an alto solo called Do You Still Love Me? Okay. And her manager, Charles Huggins, who was married to Melba Moore at the time, heard me on the record. And he said, man, I didn't know you played saxophone like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm a sax player, a flute player. That's what I do. He says, well, I'm thinking about signing a jazz artist. Why don't you bring me some demos? I said, okay. So I brought him some demos. You know, at the time I had this little deal, demo deal with Polygram, but they didn't want to do anything with it. So I brought him the demos, and he called me up like 2 weeks later. He said, listen, I got a deal for you. It's on EMI Records. And I was like, okay. So we brought in, I went to, at the time, the soprano was a sound. My brother and I got into an argument, you know, because I said, man, I'm a tenor player. I'm a flute player. That's what I do. I don't play that little girl horn, you know. Well, I go into a music store in New York City. I buy this $800 out-of-tune soprano, and I go record Najee's theme, and who would have known, you know? And even though they called it jazz, for me, it was really R&B with the saxophone. There was a void there, and that's what we went after. That was the market, and just the timing of it all, you know, within a year, we had my first gold album, you know?
Yeah. So, and that record, Najee's theme, was nominated for a Grammy.
It was, yes.
You know,
I don't know if you can see the nomination back here, but anyway, somewhere in there.
Very nice, man. Yeah. I mean, this was really the ground floor, you know, of contemporary jazz. It was the same, I think, energy that came from fusion, which was, okay, we've got jazz, but we want to borrow from rock and funk and stuff like that.
True.
And, you know, musicians during this era were saying, you know, we can do the same with R&B, with Quiet Storm. And obviously you had no idea how huge it would become.
Oh, no. I mean, I remember when Capitol, it was at the Capitol building in, I believe it was in New York. You know, when you go to Capitol Records, they have, and the EMI and Capitol had their agreement together. I was on the EMI side, but Capitol and them were together on that. Okay. And so they summons me to the office, and I go in there, and everybody's got a gold record. I didn't realize that 500,000, I was selling 500,000 units, that I really had a career. I mean, I thought it was just a ceremonial thing. Hey, you know, we want to give you a gold record, because everybody had gold records when you're walking in, you know?
Yeah, like a trophy. Here you go. Here you go. Participation trophy. Yeah.
So that's how it came about. That's how naive I was, you know.
Wow. Another amazing record that a lot of people know you by is your tribute to Stevie Wonder. Oh, yes. Songs from the Key of Life. That was from the early 1995 about there. You know, and some beautiful record, some heavy hitting guests on there as well. Yes. I mean, you know, George Duke, Herbie, Stanley. And I think that speaks, you know, not only to these musicians' regard for Stevie, but just for Stevie's songwriting. I mean, it's timeless. It defies genre. It's incredible. I think 25 years from now, as we look through the Great American Songbook, there's going to be a chapter on Stevie, you know, pages for Stevie. And I'm curious if you could think of any, because you're so famous for melding R&B with jazz, you know, contemporary songwriting, any other artists or musicians like Stevie who you think deserve entries into the Great American Songbook 25 years from now?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, that's like the royalty of that to me, you know, I mean, along with Prince, of course. Right. But, you know, there's so many other great musicians, I think, who weren't maybe R&B, but did jazz. Like I did one album with, which was called Live at the Greek with Stanley Clarke and Friends, which featured myself, Stanley Clarke, Larry Carlton, Billy Cobham. You know, that was a great album, you know, and
yes, it was.
For whatever reasons, you know, it's still here, you know, you can still get it, but it's one of those things I think should have gone down in the annals of fusion jazz, if you will, you know.
That was a great album. And for people, you know, coming from the straight ahead side who are interested in dipping their toes into your discography, that's a great place to start. I mean, you covered Charles Mingus, Goodbye Pork Pie Hut. You got All Blues on there.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you get up there on the tenor and you're sounding like Michael Brecker at points. It's
that's an honor.
No, man, that is a great album.
Yes,
but yeah, I mean, you know, you've covered them throughout your, I think Marvin could have pages in the Great American Songbook.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know, I think Paul Simon could have a few pages down there, you know, and so exciting. One of the things I enjoy about contemporary jazz, some people call it smooth jazz, is that Burt Bacharach, they're bringing in, they're continuing to, you know, enter composers into the Great American Songbook and saying this music can be spoken with jazz dialect too. So,
well, you know, I mean, that's funny you say that because Burt Bacharach is very interesting composer, producer, writer, songwriter. I did a cover of Alfie on the Center of the Heart album, an orchestral version on flute. And, you know, we've been getting great response, but people don't realize when that song was recorded in the 60s with Dionne Warwick, you know, originally, and it's going on so many other people, Barbra Streisand and so many others. Sonny Rollins, as a matter of fact, did a version. You know, that was R&B for that time, you know, so, you know, so that was a very strong R&B song. You know?
So many of these songs we consider standards were pop music of their time, you know?
Yes, sir.
So absolutely. Yeah, this is very much a continuation of that tradition. Najee, you brought the name up, man. Prince.
Yes,
you toured with Prince. Now, we've all seen the Dave Chappelle skits, you know, of what Prince as a character was like. But from your experience, what was it like to work with Prince on a musical and personal level?
You know, it was in hindsight, you know, it was really just an amazing experience. You know, you didn't realize you were becoming part of a historical future, you know, when I was there. I mean, I was there. He invited me to join his band, and I'll never forget how it happened. You know, he called me, invited me to an after party. I played at the after party, and maybe about 2 months later, I get a call from him wanting to join, you know, just to come out to Minneapolis. Hung out. That turned into recording an album called the Rainbow Children album, which was really a departure from what, if you're a Prince fan, you may not really get it. You know, it was more like a bitch's brew, you know, if you will.
Right.
You know, so we did the album. And then he comes to me and says, "Hey, man, I want you to join the MPG. You know, I got a 2-week tour." And the next thing I look around, I was there for 3 years. And I finally had to go to him and say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, but I got to go record a record because, you know, I'm committed, contracting." And he was very kind. But I have so many great memories of him. And, you know, all this stuff I hear in the press about him being I never saw any of that. I never even saw him drink wine, to be honest with you. He'd have wine there for his guests. I never saw him do any of that. You know, he was very, one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. I got to tell you, you know, and just a very gracious guy. You know, I really enjoyed my time with him. So
I've heard gracious musically, very intelligent musically.
Absolutely.
I mean, the guy knew his stuff, and just like Chaka, how to treat a band. You know, and how to make the band your instrument. Yeah, no, that's great. I imagine that's a career milestone, but you also had the honor to perform in the 90s for Nelson Mandela's birthday.
Yes.
South Africa. What brought you down there? Who brought you down there? And what was that like to play?
Wow. What can I say, man? You know, I went as part of a delegation. He had gotten remarried. At that time, he and Winnie had divorced, and he was remarrying the daughter of the president of Mozambique at the time. And so he invited a delegation, which included myself, Stevie Wonder, Kenny Lattimore, Chaka, and we all went over and we performed as a gift to the nation that he put on, where we performed in these arenas in Johannesburg, Durban, and I believe it was one other place. But we ended up going over there. And I tell you, man, to be around that greatness and then be invited to the presidential residence to have lunch with him, you know, and just sit down and talk to him. It was like, man, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, what am I doing here? You know, it was really a great honor. Yeah.
Well, hey, man, and you're representing American jazz. No, it's awesome. Yeah. And you did the same here in the States at the White House for Bill Clinton. Very jazz friendly president.
Oh, yeah. Very gracious man. Yes, sir.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, I want to talk about the new album.
Yes, sir.
Newest came out in 2019. Yeah, this is a good one. What's crazy about it to me is this is your first time working with Kenny Lattimore, at least on a recording.
Yes.
My question is, what took so long? You guys really started at the same time?
We did.
Kind of in the same ecosystem?
Yes, you can say that. And we've been on festivals together, you know, concerts together, but we've never had an opportunity to record. And when we did this song, originally I was trying to get an R&B singer from the group After Seven, Kevon Edmonds, Babyface's brother, to do it. But, you know, at the time they had a death in the family and there was a whole lot going on for him. So we passed the song on to Kenny. He came in, he did a great job. He loved it. And you know, we've had some, you know, good success with it so far. So
that's a great vibe. It's a great vibe. Kind of reminds me of that, like Justin Timberlake with Timberland, right? No, he's good. I mean, Kenny's great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
You also have an MC on there.
Yes, my son. Yes.
Oh, get out of here. That's your son? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was trying to get Q-Tip, from
Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest.
Yes, yes.
But you know what? When I heard my son, I just passed it on to him, and he came back and sent me that. I was like, well, I guess Q won't be on this one,
Because he's great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very exciting track. No, the whole album's great.
Thank you.
And just so I encourage everybody to go out and buy it right now. And you can stream it, but go buy it. That's the thing to do.
I appreciate it.
What's the vibe you want when you listen to this album? What's the vibe you get, and what vibe do you kind of hope people will get in when they listen to it?
I really don't go with a plan. I'm the kind of guy that, if it feels good to me and it can make sense as a project together, you're obligated to do 10 songs. And fortunately with the label I'm with, they don't really direct me per se. They just look for certain things to make sure they can hit the key radio formats. But for me, they pretty much give me an open hand to do anything I want. Good. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
No, you laid it down. It's a very good album. It's a very good album. We are going to do some quick, if you don't mind. We call this the call and response.
Sure.
Just some quick hit questions at the end here for Mr. Najee. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Here we go, Najee. Your first paid gig as a jazz musician. You remember where it was?
Yes, I do. I was 15 years old, and it was at a community center in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Right on.
And at that time, the city of New York was trying to promote condoms in the ghetto.
Okay.
But yes, I'll show you how naive we were. We go in there and we see all these balloons blown up in the community center, and we think it's balloons, and it ends up that they blew up all the condoms into like shapes of balloons to promote. But anyway, they paid us something like $20 a piece. So that was my very first gig, where I get made money,
First paid gig. Mine was in the greeting card. It's similarly weird. The greeting card aisle of a local Publix. Publix. From
absolutely.
I don't know how it was my high school band director. He set up this gig where it was 4 or 5 of us, small jazz combo in the greeting card section of a Publix. So, but hey, we got paid. I was 15 years old, just like that. I was thrilled. I don't care. Greeting cards, condom balloons. I don't care.
Right, that's right.
Right. Very cool. How about this? The performance that made you the most nervous. I mean, you're a professional guy. You've been doing this for a long time, but early on, I imagine there must have been some nerve-wracking performances.
Oh, I've had several, man. I mean, there's probably a few hundred of those, but I can remember the very first time I took my first solo at the age of 16 in high school. I was designated in the big band to play tenor saxophone solo. And the school I went to was actually a school that was designed for aviation careers, but we had a strong music department. And so I went there to become a pilot, honestly. But because the music department was so strong, and for whatever reasons, my teacher took to me as their guy, and I took my first tenor saxophone solo, and all the girls knew my name, and that was it. I changed my career right on the spot.
Well, that's a shame for American Airlines, but it's a major
true story.
So thank you. Are you still interested in flying?
Oh, I do. I don't know if you can see. I got a whole flight sim thing set up here in my house, but yeah, I do that just for fun, though. So you have
a little plane or a prop plane?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, only on computer. That's as far as it goes.
Okay.
For me,
Much safer that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool, man. All right, you're a New York City guy. How about this? The New York City club you miss the most. That's not there anymore.
Oh God, Gerald's. Gerald's in Queens was one of them.
I know.
Yeah. They were back in the day. I mean, all of us came up during that time there, in a place called the Village Door. So a lot of great musicians came out of that place. Marcus Miller being one of them. Tom Brown, the trumpet player, he came out of there. And that was a place where everybody went and sat in and played, and a lot of major acts came through. And
cool,
that's definitely one of them. Mm-hmm.
All right. When you're at a club, when you go into a club, what food or drink do you order? What's your order? What's Najee's order?
My order is, I don't drink alcohol anymore. So for me, it's tonic water, coffee. I love
Stay awake.
I love seafood. Yes.
There you go. A little coffee and some shrimp.
That
way you can make it through to the 1 a.m. set.
Exactly.
Okay. We'll end with this one. Okay. Only because I'm working on a story on album covers for our next issue coming up September. What's an album you could hang on your wall just because of how beautiful it is? You love the cover.
Oh, let me see. I would think, back in the day in the 70s, they used to make really great, like Return to Forever, was one of those groups that had, using New York's expression, they had the dopest, artwork,
They did.
that's one of the album covers. Let me see who else I could think of. There's always the classic ones with Miles and Train. I mean, those guys back then, those photographers, man.
Yeah.
Those photos are timeless.
Francis, well, if they really are. Yeah.
So
very cool. Very cool.
Yes,
well,
sir.
Thanks, Najee. That was our little call and response. I'm going to thank a sponsor real quick, and then we're going to bring in our resident film buff, Matt McCucci, to walk us through some jazz films. And if you have any recommendations, that would be great too. But let me just say thank you to Blue Sound, an award-winning wireless high-res sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. You choose music from your favorite streaming service or from a music library connected to your home network. Control where, at what volume, and when your music plays via a free Blue OS app for your smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer, and that is it. Getting the kind of crisp and detailed sound that only an audiophile grade system can deliver, and which every jazz fan deserves, has never been easier. You can learn more on our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide, or at bluesound.com. All right, Najee, we've got Matt waiting in the wings. He wants to get in for one last drink here at the last call. Matt, are you there?
Hey,
hello. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the party. Now it's a hang.
Right.
Cheers to you.
Yes,
Ooh, it's a pleasure. I got sparkling water, though. I'm not that much.
That counts.
Take it to the head.
Matt is in addition to being a phenomenal jazz writer, he's also a film critic. I mean, he does this for real. He's at all the film festivals, all the red carpets, interviewing people. So we bring him in every Friday for Jazz Film Friday to recommend some jazz movies. And Najee, you and I are going to listen, and then we can maybe come up with our own. But
sure.
Matt, what's on the docket? What should people be watching this weekend?
Well, absolutely. So
jazz films.
For today, I was thinking about maybe picking a few films where jazz is an important element, but that aren't necessarily just about jazz films. Because when people talk about jazz films, they may throw out the same kind of titles. So I want to just think outside the box for a change, And so I came up with one that's quite famous and another one that's not as well known, but it probably should be. So I'm going to start with the one that's not so well known, and it's called Legend of 1900. You guys heard of it?
I have not heard of it. No, new to me.
I'm gonna look
there
it
you
up,
go.
though.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the plan all along.
Nice. Okay.
The Legend of 1900, it was made in 1998, and it's basically, these are both fiction films that I'm going to be talking about. This is the story of a baby, most likely the son of poor immigrants, born on a four-stacker ocean liner traveling from Europe to the US in the year 1900. So this baby grows up to be a musical prodigy, but he never sets foot on land, and he's raised by workers on the boat. His reputation as a piano genius grows to the point where, and this is where jazz really comes into play, Jelly Roll Morton himself comes on board and challenges him to a piano duel in one of the central scenes of the film. It's unbelievable. Obviously, it's not really Jelly Roll Morton. But anyways, it's cool. So it's a fable film, really. But what I like about it, it's not just about jazz, but of course, we're talking about the years when it was really coming to the fore. It's about the multiculturality on this huge ship. Different nationalities come in, and you can hear all sorts of music being played. The people in the third class playing their folk music from different places, joining in with people from other countries. And and of course, the protagonist of the film, played by Tim Roth, starts playing as well. We also get to see early recording techniques. So it's really cool. It's shot in a fable style. And I also have to say the music is by the one and only Ennio Morricone. And it's directed by the same guy who directed Cinema Paradiso. Unfortunately, it's not as well known, but if you get a chance to watch it, I would recommend it.
Awesome. Thanks for the recommendation, Matt. Yeah, it looks like the kind of film that every jazz musician who's worked a cruise ship can relate to. Being stuck on the boat. Hey, talk about getting your chops up, though. That's a great gig. Right. You are.
But imagine just being born on this huge ship and never getting off it.
Right, I can't even imagine. I get on a cruise ship 2 days, man. I'm going stir crazy. I can't.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you got a little seasick.
Right. Very cool, man. I will check that out. Okay, what is the second movie that you're going to recommend for the weekend? That's a good point. We got 2 days this weekend. 2 movies to binge watch. What are they?
There you go. Well, the second one is much better known. It's New York, New York by Martin Scorsese, 1977. Yeah. Again, it's not necessarily a jazz film, but jazz is, of course, a very important part in the movie for a couple of reasons. Well, De Niro plays a jazz player, a saxophonist, actually. And Liza Minnelli plays a pop singer. they just, you know, they fall in love, but their relationship kind of just goes sour as the film progresses. It just starts to crumble under the weight of their own ambitions as well. And so the film was made in 1977, and of course the theme song of the movie became a huge hit for Liza Minnelli. And, you know, me coming from Europe, it's one of the songs that, you know, when anyone says New York, that song just instantly comes to your head. New York, New York. But it's funny to think that De Niro actually, you know, learned to play the saxophone, or at least he tried for 3 months. And so what you see him doing, it's obviously not CGI, but he's kind of giving it a go. He had to be overdubbed, of course, but he gave it a fair shot. That's De Niro. You know, he'll do everything it takes to play the role the right way. And in fact, I was thinking it might have been nice to hear him, you know, play a little bit on one of his buddy Joe Pesci's album. He's a crooner, you know. He's at a
Joe Pesci is a singer. He just put out a jazz album. That's right.
Wow, really?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I was actually in a movie with Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, a movie called Guilty by Suspicion, where I was a guest saxophonist performing in Paris. My part went on the cutting floor, though, I'm sorry to say.
Oh,
but Robert De Niro wanted a saxophone player in the movie, and I was, you know, commissioned to come in and do it. And, you know, I went through the scene probably about 60 times with him. It was really nice, but I was very disappointed that my part never made the actual movie. But it was quite a great experience to watch.
Yeah, man.
It was.
Oh, I can imagine. What an experience. Have you taken? You've seen New York, New York?
No, I've never seen that. You know, I said
we got some homework to do this week.
It was actually Ern Winkler.
Oh, okay. Ern Winkler. But what a cool experience. Maybe there's on the DVD release, you know, lost footage.
So.
Lost footage. Najee playing. Is that tune in your repertoire, New York, New York? You ever play that?
No, I've never played that song. Yeah. Have you played it?
Maybe. Possibly.
You know what?
I'm thinking back.
It's kind of like one of those songs you would play when you were doing the GB gigs, you know, back in the day.
That's right. That's right. Did you? I heard, Matt, that Frank Sinatra originally did not want to record that song. Did not think it was going to be a hit. Passed on it. No, thank you. And then was convinced.
It's possible. Frank Sinatra passed on a lot of songs that became hits and then re-recorded them later. You know, you know, there's stories going around. I think David Bowie even tried to write a song for him once, but Sinatra was like, "No, I'm not having that." I could be wrong on that one.
Wow,
it's a siren going off outside. I don't know.
The jazz police. The jazz police. They're
like, yeah, what are you? No, but that's it. That's my 2 recommendations. Anyways, I'm thinking, have you guys got any recommendations
for what to watch this weekend? Oh, but you got a good movie for us, Najee?
Oh God, you know, I like documentaries, man. And and most things that people won't want to watch, like Bitcoin and stuff like that. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Sounds cool to me, man.
Stuff, you know, but
sounds cool to me. I always liked A Man Called Adam with Sammy Davis Jr. Kind of a classic. He's a trumpet player. This was kind of like 1950s. That's a great jazz movie if you want to watch it this weekend. But this is what we do on Film Fridays. And Matt, thank you very much for coming in and recommending some movies for us to check out this weekend. I'm looking forward. Najee and I have some homework to do. Got to watch the 1900, New York, New York. Yeah.
It's a pleasure, guys.
Absolutely. This has been a pleasure talking to both of you. I thank you both for joining me on The Last Call. I'll see you both backstage, and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
So long. Bye. All right. Once again, thanks to Najee for coming on the program to chat with us today. Again, his new album is out right now. You can stream it. You can buy it. I encourage you to go buy it. And if you want to check out more, visit Najee online at najeeofficial.com. That is his website. Quick programming note. Next week, we're going to be starting things off Monday, June 8th, with a twofer. We're going to have Antonio Hart, incredible alto saxophonist, on the show for the first half. He played for a long time with Roy Hargrove, and now he's running the music department at Queens College. The second half of the show, we're going to be joined by drummer Steve Jordan. A lot of you know him from the John Mayer Trio. He's going to be talking about some new initiatives from the Jazz Foundation of America. All right, that'll do it for me, everyone. Once again, I am Brian Zimmerman, executive editor of Jazziz magazine. Thanks for joining me for The Last Call. Have a great weekend. Bye.